Okay. I guess I'll do the intro. Yeah.
Yeah, go with the
Okay.
intro.
Okay. Welcome to Legalized Robbery Podcast. My name is Jerry, and I'm here with the one and only Romanian stallion,
Oh,
Adrian. um, yeah, I guess I should preface this by saying none of the shit we say is financial advice. Go get yourself a financial advisor if you got the money to.
yeah,
And then moving on, and so just some housekeeping, I guess. Um, we discuss everything around investments, the stock market, crypto markets, and anything we find might be a new asset class that we find interesting. Um, in the crypto market, you obviously have DeFi and I don't know, maybe some currency stuff. But all in all, it'll be the stock market and crypto markets, right?
yeah, mostly. And anything money related, like yeah, any type topics that have to do with money management, generating money, maybe saving money. Why not?
Yeah, cool. Is
Yeah.
that did you write that, yo mate?
No, I think it's one of my friends. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Hello, how's it going?
yeah.
Okay, so just to start off, legalized robbery podcast. How do we sort of start? I I guess we were thinking about doing this for a long time, and I've had friends actually ping me and say that they wanted me to speak on stuff like that, and every time we had phone calls, you know, I I sort of got the idea from them that hey, maybe we should put these calls online. And I tend to have a lot of these conversations with Adrian, so it
Yeah.
just made sense. It just made sense to do these and just put all of our private conversations online, which is pretty much all about the stock market and the crypto market.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Oh, sorry. I thought we were gonna pause.
oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I got the exact same vibe. Like we're trading so much info. Like in certain moments, I feel like we trade so much info, so much valuable stuff. Like some of them, even I would like to go back and actually maybe watch or follow. But sometimes text is so tedious. Like I wouldn't know when we talked about something, and I go back in our conversation, and it's like 3 days ago, and it's like, dude, I thought it was last month. Like
Yeah.
so much content. Like I think this we might even come back and watch this regarding our own points or like the different
Yes,
opinions we have.
that would be
So
awesome. And
yeah,
that's primarily what this is about. It's a learning process, and that's just to say that we're as much beginners as we're experts in this.
yeah,
Um, so, yeah, pretty much always staying a beginner is the best way to keep learning. You know,
yeah,
I have this quote in my head always where it sort of I think it's like some kind of Zen quote, and it goes in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, and in the expert's mind there's only a few. So keeping an open mind, you know, keeping a beginner's attitude, you stay flexible and open to new ideas. So
yeah,
that's the kind of approach I'd like to take in all of this. And there's gonna be mistakes. There's gonna be hopefully less falsehood spread. But yeah, we might put up wrong info here or there. Um, but we always aim to tell the truth. And if there's any sort of change in opinions or views, that'll all be recorded on this podcast anyway. So we'll surely go back and be like, okay, I changed my view on that. I improved my perspective on that, and so forth. So yeah, don't be too tough on us, and we won't be too tough on ourselves. um,
uh, yeah. Obviously, that's always gonna be the case. Like even we were trading some opinions today, and Jerry was asking me, "Did you change on your opinion on that?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, of course I did. Like I got some new info, I got a new perspective. Why wouldn't I change my opinion on that?"
exactly.
Obviously, here we would have to preface it or like go back and do a disclaimer saying, okay, we said this dumb shit in this podcast, but now we know better. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So just some background on the name itself, legalized robbery. We thought it. When I first heard it, I thought it was genius, and we were talking about doing a podcast, but we were just throwing around names and stuff, and we couldn't find anything that was sticking. And I think we were both watching the Mayweather Paul Logan. Is it Paul Logan?
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
Yeah.
A Logan Paul sort of preamble, and I think Mayweather said something about, why wouldn't I participate in the legalized bank robbery? And then Adrian texted me. It was like legalized robbery, and I'm like, legalized robbery. I'm like, this is fucking like genius.
Yeah.
There you go, Mr. Lucky.
Especially in this time and age, like there's so many shady stuff going around. Like it might as well be like a legalized robbery.
Exactly. And think about what classes as legalized robbery. Anything or any sort of game that you have an unfair advantage in. So and the stock market classes as that. And all the stock market is a transfer of wealth from high information people to low information people. So that's all it is. So we're just trying to
the other way around. From low information people to high information people.
To high information people. My bad. See where my head is at.
Yeah.
And that's all the stock market is. That's all the crypto market is. A transfer of wealth from low information to high information. You buy the rumor and sell the news, so to say. So this is what we're all about, and this is what this podcast is going to be all about. And I think that's enough about the name, maybe. And then, about us. I'm Jerry, 27, live in London. I went to uni with Adrian. That's where we met. And we actually haven't spoken so much since uni. And it was just randomly, I think, that we started speaking again. And and then we both had our interest in the stock market and crypto. And decided to just keep on talking. And ever since, we've had a really good sort of exchange. And then we decided to take it online. So here we are.
Yeah. I like Jerry. He's such a nice person, and his views are like he's like a well-intended person and super optimistic. And sometimes I just feel the urge to tell him, like, dude, like seriously, relax. Like your view on the world is just way too much, like in the sense that, for example, with crypto, I'm just gonna drop crypto here. He's always like, crypto's gonna change the world, and it's gonna do all the good things, and everybody in crypto is super positive and good, and they're gonna help all these peoples. And I'm like, well, dude, maybe, yeah, but there's probably still some scammy stuff going on, and some people who want to rob other people. So it's not all that peachy, but your intentions are always super positive with stuff. So yeah,
go ahead.
It's almost like when you come with that attitude, I feel the well, the urge is a bit too strong of a word, but I feel the need to like ground you a little, because you're right, and it's good that you have this kind of view. But I think even in investments, like I think you need to be maybe not as optimistic as as you would like to be, and try to be realistic. I would like to think we're gonna stop using oil, stop smoking, stop eating unhealthy food tomorrow, but we're not. So like trying to short McDonald's and Exxon maybe won't bring you money, even though you would like to. So
yeah. See, and this is where we disagree, and that's the beauty of it, because I think I am quite optimistic, partly because I think I don't know, and any other views like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But to work in a stock market, it's just like you said, or to be able to invest properly, you do have to be realistic. So I agree with that part. In terms of things you want to invest in that have like long-term value, I do think that on a long enough timeline, the good stuff will win. So there's only so long that you can run something that is like bad for people, so to say, is what I think. So that's why I might have views on oil uh, that other people don't agree with. But to me, this on a long enough timeline, oil is not going to exist.
Yeah,
But
but I think it's
the usage of oil and making money from it won't. But in the short term, it definitely will. And in the short term, it will actually go up. Actually, I think, especially now that the economy is reopening and things like that.
yeah, obviously, like I wanted to say that obviously oil is not going to work in the long term because we have like 30 or 40 years of it left, even if we wanted to use it all. So, like
Exactly.
Elon said, trying to use oil until it runs out is like one of the stupidest experiments we can try. Not finding an alternative to something so essential to our civilization. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bad idea on multiple levels. But yeah,
Yeah. So shall we go on to the topic of the day, I guess, which is Bitcoin
well,
and El Salvador. So just some context for anybody listening that hasn't heard the news. Salvador, a South American company country, has legalized the usage of Bitcoin, so to say. It turned it into legal tender. So vendors can use it, the people can use it, and they're setting up wallets for their citizens to be able to use it. And companies are literally going around onboarding people onto Bitcoin. In some cases, even giving them free Bitcoins. On the, it's really loud, man.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was, yeah, I was just repositioning.
Okay. Yeah, so in some cases, companies are going around El Salvador, onboarding the citizens and giving them free Bitcoin under the condition that they keep the Bitcoin. And on one hand, you could say that's good. On the other hand, you could say it is a little bit weird. It's like it's like evangelizing without going into religion. But that's what Bitcoin resembles a lot because they have a very core following, and it's almost like a cult at this point. The people in the core of it. But just to get back to El Salvador, this is the first time that's happened. So that's the first company that is putting Bitcoin on its balance sheet and allowing people to transact with it. And this has incredible ramifications, and it's like the world's guinea pig in terms of using a new currency, and all of the interesting things that might happen. Um, and the positive effects that it might have are yet to be seen. But in essence, the philosophy of it is, fix the money, fix the world. And I'm I'm not sure how many people know Jack Mallor, who's the CEO of Strike, but he gave the presentation at the Bitcoin conference in Miami that then introduced the president of El Salvador, and uh, where they made the announcement that Bitcoin is going to be legal tender in El Salvador. Uh, if you haven't seen the presentation, I would highly recommend you watch it. It's quite emotional. The guy's crying and everything in the presentation. Um, but yeah, he's very emotionally connected to it, and he's like, feet on the ground in El Salvador, and they're working really hard to do things over there. So you might disagree with his views, but I think that he's coming from a pure place. What do you think about it, Adrian?
Well, I mean, I honestly, it was a bit emotional. I wouldn't say it was fake emotion, but I don't know. It for me it was a bit too much. I don't know why. I it just yeah, I think it was a bit too much. I agree with the points you made, though. I think it's an interesting news. It's an interesting bit of news from the point that there's a precedent now. That's good, and it was signed into law. I think yesterday, right? Not today. Yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's that's super awesome. Like definitely. Oh, and by
yeah,
the way, I sent you that thing today with IMF.
yes.
IMF
That's going
was
to be
like,
really interesting.
oh, you're gonna have some problems with the Bitcoin legal tender. Well, we'll see. We'll see if they'll have. I think they were supposed to get a loan, and IMF said
Yes,
now the legal thing now might get in the way of that. Well, we'll see how that's
yes.
gonna turn out.
And you have to think that the IMF, they basically they were going to give them 1 billion, right?
Hmm.
And the IMF sort of implied in that open letter of sorts that this Bitcoin legal tender thing is going to get in the way of that. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure how widely this is known, but if you look at the history of the U.S. and how it enforces the use of the dollar, it spans so far back, and the repercussions for deciding not to use um, the dollar are really grave, you know. And you have examples of it in Libya, when Gaddafi wanted to do his own currency. You could say that, even though it borders on conspiracy. But then you have different places around the world, even Iran. So there's a lot of issues that come with trying to use a currency other than the dollar to buy oil, for example. The only
Hmm.
country that has done this successfully for quite a while now is Russia. So the repercussions of not using the dollar can be really great for El Salvador. So you know, I would keep an eye on the news and how they'll paint this. I'm expecting a lot of fiat pumping, so to say, and a lot of sort of down talking on Bitcoin and energy usage, and all of the attack vectors that we know of will be used. I'm not completely sold on it myself either, so I think it's still a I don't know, it's still a tricky subject, and I'm not sure if we'll have any conclusive ideas there. I think time will tell. And the president of El Salvador is a really controversial person as well. He, he fired people in the Supreme Court. He uses the army to do questionable things. He's very, very hard on crime because you have the M13 Mexican gangs and stuff like that there. So he's a very controversial figure. So I'm not sure what to make of all of it, and I'm not sure if he's the best example to use in all of this Bitcoin hype. But I want to give it a chance, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, but they've had renewable energy from volcanoes
Yeah.
set up.
That's what I wanted to
I,
bring up. I think
Go
that's
ahead.
interesting. So, okay, since we talk about power usage and everything, volcanoes are
Yes.
super interesting. Like, and obviously, I think there's even multiple sources of energy. I haven't actually checked this, but I think there might be some kinetic form of energy. There might be some thermal form of energy. So I think that would be super interesting to see, you know, how efficient that is. And I think in the news article regarding this, they were saying they want to actually have like a Bitcoin mining hub. But in a certain way, like harvesting a volcano, like such a, let's say, destructive energy for energy is such a good idea. Like it kind of reminds me of Dyson spheres, like engulfing the sun in like with like solar panels to actually absorb all the energy. Like the sun, it's like so hot and it has like mini nuclear eruptions. If you can capture that energy, that would be super awesome. And obviously, since it's like natural, it's renewable. Like you're not using energy. This is just a basic function of the earth. That's amazing. Like honestly, that's
Yeah.
amazing. We don't know
Yeah.
anything about the efficiency, but it's kind of amazing in in
Yeah.
in the thing itself.
And this is the first time I've heard of this. that you can actually use volcanoes to generate electricity. But in theory, it makes complete sense. It's heat, so you should be able um,
Yeah.
to use that energy to do something with it. And but one thing that's really important to note here is that the speed to execution in this entire thing, from saying that they're discussing Bitcoin to be legal tender in El Salvador, right, to then making it a law and then it passing Congress and stuff like that. I mean, it's insane. You think about all of the countries that we know about, and how long something takes to go through Congress. It is shocking, actually, that they managed to do this in a time span of days. So when this was announced at the Bitcoin Miami conference, which was crazy, by the way, we'll get to that later. By the time this was announced, I think it was like 2 days later, where it hit the news, and then another 2 days later, it was passed through, which was maybe yesterday or the day before. And then I think yesterday they were talking about the possibilities of using volcanoes to generate renewable energy that will then be used to mine the Bitcoin and so forth, right? And then today I saw that they're actually doing it already. So if anything, you can give them big props for at least speed to execution. You know?
Yeah, but like, well, at this point, it's just rumors. Like, we don't have anything confirmed. And also, like, let's remember China in autocratic like regions and places. You can pretty much get stuff done super fast because that's how things work. So
I
that
mean,
might not be a bad thing, right?
China, not Europe. Have you heard that in Europe that a bill passes in
No,
like a
of
few
course.
days? Or
No.
America?
But that's what I'm saying. Autocratic systems, where like
Yes,
there's a
yeah,
super powerful individual, like it's in El Salvador. But again, well, dude, honestly, like, uh, I'm not sure what his like negative deeds are, but if he can do this and he can show a way regarding harnessing maybe volcanic power, creating a BTC hub or a BTC mining hub through volcanic power or something like that, that would be interesting. I mean, again,
hmm
I'm not sure what his like crimes are, but if he does this, at least he's gonna have a positive one in his
yeah.
portfolio. So why not?
The thing, I'm not sure if you can, because I don't know too much about it myself. But when talking about what his crimes are, I don't think there's specific crimes. It's just some things that he did resemble authoritarian regimes. Like firing large parts of your jurisdiction, sorry, judiciary,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the judges. Like I think he fired five or something like that. He sent um, police or something to enforce a bill. He um, lined up an entire prison, um, which is crazy if you really look at it. Hold on, let me share my screen because this shit is insane. He did that. Hold on. So he lined up an entire prison, right, um, to take a picture of as a sort of form of humiliation,
Mm-hmm.
um, because the crime in El Salvador is like something you won't see in many places. Like it's really crazy. You People get stuck up in restaurants and everything. You see this? You see it?
I'm adding it now.
No, as in, can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, okay. So this is what he did. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, people say that and stuff like that, so they deserve it or whatever. But I do think respectable politicians, they won't resort to, I don't know, mass shaming people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just it's just one of many things. Hold on, let me share this. Yeah, it's just one of many things that he did that are just like a bit weird, and it just doesn't paint the right picture. But you do have to say that like crime in El Salvador is just next level,
Hmm.
because of all the gang culture there. The other thing you also have to say is that I think crime since he came into office went down 40%, and that's quite a strong statistic. So 40% for crime to go down, you have to give him some props. And then now this Bitcoin stuff. So you can knock his approach, but at certain stages of a country's development, like El Salvador, you do need a very strong personality that can cut through and make decisions very quickly. And he's proven to do that. So let's see what comes of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's an interesting subject. Like the matter itself, even with the crime, I think there was some similar statistics regarding this as well in Mexico, like when they had cartel problems. So I don't think necessarily the number of crimes going down is necessarily a good thing. It might just be, I don't know, a semi, I don't know, uh, acceptance of crime. But yeah, let's not go there. Let's just wait and we'll see the results in like time, and we'll see if he's doing better, if he's doing worse. I know El Salvador was the first place globally in terms of deaths per capita. I think
Hmm.
even it might have been gun deaths, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly if that's true.
Yeah,
And I know it's not the case anymore, so I guess that's a
yeah.
win.
I
But
mean, I've
yeah.
I've had a friend that told me that he went to El Salvador and they would be sitting at a restaurant and people just come in and stick the restaurant up, and
Hmm.
and as soon as the people leave, it's just business as usual because this happens every other day.
Yeah.
And they get into a bus, and the bus driver intentionally doesn't go or stop at certain stops because he knows that he's going to get stuck up there. Somebody's going to come in with a knife and try and get all the money. So
Hmm.
so crime in El Salvador is like nothing you've ever seen, probably. So I try and cut the guy some slack because all of the news that I read, or all of the negative news that I read about this guy from El Salvador, is from here. I don't read news from over there, and apparently has a really high acceptance rate over there.
Hmm.
So yeah, uh, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. With this whole Bitcoin thing, and it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do, because you think about it, it's like if the IMF is offering you 1 billion, right, and then you make Bitcoin legal, which is contrary to the goals of the IMF, then they're gonna see if you cave in or not. We're gonna see if you cave in or not.
Yeah.
Because if you want that billion, you won't, or you will reverse this whole Bitcoin thing, and stick to the IMF's rules. But if you don't, and if you really think that Bitcoin is this revolutionary financial asset, then you'll go ahead with those plans, regardless of whether the IMF is giving you a billion.
Yeah.
I like
Uh,
the guys giving these elaborate comments. I love
yeah.
it. To see it. Go ahead. You were gonna say?
No, I just wanted to say that uh, I I wouldn't even like. I'm not gonna comment on this topic right now. Again, the guy hasn't taken office for long. I think it's less than 2 years. Uh, he again, like you said, he has some apparent results. He's doing these moves. At least it's. I mean, even if I don't agree with the whole crypto narrative, I do agree that to a certain extent it's a bit more transparent. It's maybe a bit more decentralized. Obviously, that's the buzzword. But yeah, I do agree with that. So I don't think this would be. If I see it as a positive, and I see it as a good direction to go in. Whatever happens afterwards, I guess we'll see in time. I was mentioning on some group chats, I think with the guys as well, that I expected countries which are more technologically inclined countries which are that are innovation and crypto hubs to do this first, maybe Singapore or Switzerland, but they didn't. I assume there can be a million reasons for this why they didn't. But again, just somebody doing it first creates a precedent. I think precedents are good.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, that's about it. And like even some other cryptos have talked about going to certain countries, some of them in Africa, and they said they're gonna help the systems there, Cardano being one of them. And honestly,
Ethiopia.
huh?
Cardano is in Ethiopia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like if you can help an emerging country or an emerging market leapfrog some, maybe not. I mean, obviously, yeah. Okay, let's not go into the whole banking topic, but like if you can help them leapfrog some parts of like financial evolution or maybe technical evolution, why not
Yeah.
do it? That's always a
Yes,
good thing, you know.
absolutely.
So do you want to talk about the Miami Bitcoin conference? I've
The
seen
Bitcoin
some bits
mining
apart.
conference.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen some parts of it, some
Yeah.
snippets of it, but honestly, I wasn't super curious. Just slightly curious. I think
Yeah.
you were a bit more curious on it.
It was a little bit of a shit show, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
From what I seen, and the funny thing is, I saw all of the carnage first. I saw this guy jump up on stage. Hold on, I think I can show this. I saw this
The
guy jump up
Doge
on
guy?
stage. Yes, the dog. The dog. Is it Doge or Dogecoin?
I don't
Or
know.
Dodge?
I call it Doge. It's too late
You call
now.
it Doge. I heard people say Dodge. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna
Everybody.
call it
I don't know, man. It's like GIF and GIF. I'm not gonna do that. It's
Doge.
just
GIF and GIF.
yeah.
Yeah, so this guy just jumped on stage mid conference. I don't even know if he was one of the speakers.
No. I think he came on stage and he was like part of the either the staff or the audience, but he came on stage and he was like decently dressed.
Exactly. And then he ripped it all off and said that he's got an important announcement or something, right? And yeah, he ripped off his shirt, his trousers, and then it's like Dogecoin to the moon. Dogecoin to the fucking moon. Hold on,
Yeah.
let's show this actually because it's possible, right? Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The thing is, like, do you know the guy, the other guy who started shouting, who is like super pumped up? He was like he was like on drugs. It reminded me of the BitConnect guy.
Oh yeah,
What's
yeah, yeah.
up, BitConnect? Dude, it's that, but he wasn't as entertaining. But that's about it.
I'll play it
Uh,
real quick.
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
see it?
yeah. It's
Can
enter
you hear
now.
it as well?
I'm not. I don't think so. I don't think we can have audio. Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not gonna say I'm surprised or anything. It's like I think it's normal crypto behavior.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
what else was there interesting?
yeah, so basically, I mean, obviously that happened, and this is all I saw from it. All I saw was, I think one of my favorite tweets was the takeaway from um, Bitcoin Miami conference is that I'm bullish on Ethereum. And then there was,
Yeah.
and then there was another one saying sort of the Bitcoin Miami, the biggest winner of Bitcoin Miami conference is Ethereum.
Yeah.
Because it was a bit strange and wild, and that was just one of the examples. But I think that was all the noise about the conference, and the signal where really Jack Mallers' um, speech that he gave, like really heartfelt speech, and then um, as well as that, I would say Lynn Alden and Jack Dorsey uh,
Mm-hmm.
sitting down to speak, and Jack Dorsey got heckled.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah,
was
I've
really
seen it.
interesting actually, yeah. And so Jack Dorsey got heckled in the middle of him getting interviewed about Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And it was some congresswoman, Laura something, and she was saying, how can you talk about um, decentralization and uncensored currency and all of this other stuff when you're the king of censorship?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then everybody went crazy and stuff. And I really loved how composed Jack was. And obviously, we both agreed that, the banning of Trump not too long ago, that was a overreach because it sets a weird precedent, a precedent.
In
Um,
president.
sets a weird precedent for the president.
Yeah.
And it just set up a bad rule for Twitter themselves because it's like, do you block everybody with these views? You know,
Hmm.
isn't free speech free for everybody, including people you don't agree with? And it becomes tricky, and it becomes tricky when that sort of free somebody's using their free speech to incite potential riots. So I think Twitter was just in a really sticky position. Um, as far as how that aligns with crypto, I think it puts him in a tricky spot, and I think he agreed with that, and he answered in a really measured way. He not to be too long on this topic, but he went into Blue Sky, which is a Twitter project that they're working on to make Twitter decentralized. And the way it would
Hmm.
work is that people would be able to curate their experience better, and there wouldn't be any censorship. But I think content would be automatically flagged, and um, people can sort of control their experience a bit better. So offensive content would automatically be sort of programmed out. I don't know how they will do it. I have no clue what the tech behind it is. It sounds crazy to me that you would have a decentralized social media, but apparently this is what they're working on, and it was inspired by Bitcoin. And then he went on to say that Square, the payment processing company that he's the CEO of as well, is planning on making a hardware wallet, a
Yeah.
Bitcoin hardware wallet, and they're trying to get it to 100 million people. And given how successful Jack has been with Twitter and Square, and having those two and being able to potentially in the future vertically integrate them, I think is a huge bullish signal for Bitcoin. Even it would sound like a stretch to some, and it might sound like a stretch to you, but
No.
I've been liking Jack's moves very much, and I think it's hard to deny the importance that Twitter has in the world today. And if Jack is bullish on Bitcoin as the CEO of Twitter, I think there's numerous ways that he will find to implement um, Bitcoin onto Twitter and increase mass adoption potentially, because this tipping function is already, I think, is already in the talks. So being able to tip
Yeah.
influencers and
Exactly.
people on the platform, I think will play a huge part. And to me, it just seems like the logical progression. And he has Square at the same time, which is like a digital bank, and they're upending entire traditional banks. They have like an automated process where they can figure out um, when a business that is working with them is making profit and when they would need a loan, right?
Yeah.
So instead of waiting for them to contact Square to be like, hey, I need a loan, because their API is connected to Square and everything, Square picks up on it and sends them an automated offer to give them a loan because they're
Yeah.
seeing, hey, you're making profit, we want to help you increase it. So having these kind of systems in place and having this sort of advanced tech in place says a lot about how they would be able to succeed in branching into crypto. It just makes perfect sense for me that would be a natural progression for them, and that's why I personally would think that it would be a huge bullish signal just to have somebody like Jack in in that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that on my side, I think.
Regarding Jack Dorsey, I don't know. I watched him on Joe Rogan when he came on, and honestly, he seems like a good guy in a super hard spot. Like that's my vibe on him. I
Yes.
think he could have a bit more personality and a bit more assertiveness in certain aspects, but I think he's well intentioned. Uh, but maybe he's not doing enough. Like for example, at least with Twitter, even Trump aside, there's like numerous cases of I don't know accounts which have been flagged as being okay, offensive, whatever, and then some other ones which are have done super serious stuff which haven't, and are not like terrorist organizations. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So they're definitely committing some errors. uh, I don't see them necessarily correcting them. I won't even think it's a narrative, say that it's a narrative, but at least they're not as focused as. I think it might just be a cultural thing, and if they think certain things are worse than others, they're going to censor and control that instead of the other. And I guess to a certain extent, that's fine. But then again, it goes again into the whole is social media, the internet, a part of communication, like utility. But yeah, super complex discussion, maybe for another time. Regarding the BitConnect stuff, yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up the tipping mechanism in Twitter. I heard about that one. That's super interesting. I think it's going to do a lot for the platform. It can basically turn it into, and the thing they're doing, which is similar to Clubhouse, is also super interesting. If they, I don't think you can live stream on Twitter, but if you can do a bit of live streaming, a bit of audio streaming, and then some other stuff, Twitter is going to become like a content platform, which would be super awesome for them. And like being a creator, you could go on Twitter, like share your content, get live donations. Obviously, yeah, everybody's gonna accept dollars, but then again, why not accept crypto? Because everything, like you said, everything is online now. Jack has the infrastructure back from Square, so he could do the integration super easily, super nice. Like it could be a precedent. Like I don't think there's a lot of streaming apps where you can tip in cryptos now. That would be super interesting. Talking about precedents, if he creates like
Yes.
an yeah, if he creates like a streaming platform with all these functionalities with the tipping incorporated, yeah, it's gonna become a huge player, and it actually might revive Twitter as a social media. Because in my point of view, until a few months ago, half a year or something like that, I thought Twitter was going to die. Like their numbers were going down, but I know it seems to be a bit more lively. I think this adoption of crypto and Jack's, well, not obsession, but like Jack's focus on crypto might actually, yeah, make Twitter a super interesting business. Um, yeah, I'm still not that impressed by Bitcoin. But again, everything else, the space itself, donations, tipping, yeah, all of that, awesome, good for them.
Let's dive into that actually. I think that would be really interesting to talk about. So maybe I can just give a quick sort of rundown on Bitcoin. Maybe even something I can cut short, like
Yeah,
a sort of quick explanation of what Bitcoin is. So,
yeah,
Bitcoin was created shortly after the housing crash in America. I think around 2008 or 9, by an anonymous creator who was posting on social media forums, and he his name is Satoshi Nakamoto, and he did this in response to the housing crash, where people lost a lot of their hard-earned money by traditional banks. And Bitcoin was created in response to that. And I think you could even find him quoting that Bitcoin is a financial asset for you to hold just in case your savings or you get deplatformed or your savings get deplatformed by your local bank. So it was really a hedge and a protection against predatory banks. And if they failed in any way and failed to secure your hard-earned savings, you would have another sort of asset class that would protect those. And it was created primarily using computer code and cryptography. And this cryptography allows you to secure payments and get it from one place to another place, or from one person to another person in a trustless fashion, meaning you don't have to trust the intermediary or the other side for your money to get across. And the blockchain allows you to do that because the blockchain was built on cryptography, which is a lot of symbols that are non-hackable. So you fast forward, and today you have crypto. It was supposed to be a currency, but it's more of a asset class, and one that resembles gold. And some would even say that it replaced gold. You can actually see outflows of gold, and you compare them to Bitcoin, and you will see that there's outflows in gold and inflow into Bitcoin. And some would say that that might mean that people are divesting in gold and investing in Bitcoin. So it would be the digital gold, as many would refer to it. I think it's a great invention. I think it might change a lot of things, primarily because if it lives on a blockchain, then it's transparent, and you can even go onto the website and see your transactions on the blockchain. And this is not possible in the current financial system, especially with cash. You cannot trace a lot of it. A lot of it is kept in places that are hard to trace. And we still don't know how much wealth is actually out there in the world, or hidden in tax havens. But on a blockchain, you'd be able to find all of this information. So to me, that's at worst, an incremental improvement on the current financial system, and therefore would make the world a better place if it was used widely. The only problem with Bitcoin is that it's slow. It can't handle as many transactions as our current system can, and yes, it's built on the trust of, or the belief in it. So the more people believe in Bitcoin, the more it will grow, and the more stable it will become. Some people would say that that's a bad thing because it's not. It doesn't have any particular value. Like Addy, he would say it's a bad thing. um, but I would say that the dollar is the same thing, really. That it's a story we tell ourselves about money, for us to believe it. If everybody tomorrow decided they don't believe in the dollar anymore, then it wouldn't mean as much. So I think it runs on the same principle. It's just that the dollar is backed by the military and sort of a government and a political structure around it. But I think in the future that will be less important, to be honest. And therefore, I think wide scale adoption of Bitcoin is a great thing, because number one, just to sum it up, because number one, it uses tech to secure it. You don't need an intermediary. You don't need to trust it. So it's a trustless way of transacting, and all of it is transparent. You can see all of it on a blockchain, and it has a fixed monetary policy. So no one can come and decide, hey, there's going to be XYZ amount of Bitcoins more. There's only a set amount, 21 million, and nobody can change that. And as we know from history, printing money is one of the many causes of inflation. And to be secure of that, you have to, or you should jump into things that have fixed monetary policies, just like Bitcoin. And I think that'll sum it up. So fixed monetary policy, using tech and cryptography as security, trustless, and financial inclusivity. That's another thing. Anybody can use it with an internet connection, and that's why I think it's a good thing. So I said I wasn't going to make it long, but I think it ended up long anyway. So yeah, take the ball.
I just wanted to let you know that we have done like 50 minutes until now.
50 minutes, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it went somewhat fast. Uh, dude, even this is such a complicated discussion. My whole view is that most of the things you just mentioned are characteristics of the blockchain, and most of them, or at least cryptos in general. Like, I would actually give all the credits to Bitcoin's performance, or let's say reputation, due to first mover advantage.
Mm-hmm.
There's oh man, there's so many things I I don't like. I'm not convinced. I'm not impressed by them. You know, they just seem like, in the world of cryptos, they're just meh. Like, yeah, I don't even know where to start. Yeah, but no,
Let's start at transaction speed, because
transaction
it
speed is
obviously
bad,
doesn't qualify, or how many
right?
transactions it can do. Yeah,
Per
the
second.
transaction speed is bad. I don't even know for a second how much.
I think usually in Bitcoin, I think there's like 10 to 30 minutes for a transaction to be confirmed, which I think is kind of long.
Mm-hmm.
I like. I'm not sure if my view on Bitcoin is it's never gonna become a currency. It might be. For example, Stanley Druckenmiller was saying that Bitcoin is like high beta gold. Like, I think it's decent for store of wealth. I think it might be a good hedging mechanism. And like you said, its pyramidal nature actually makes it so that the more people believe in it and invest in it, the more I I want to say stability it has, but it hasn't had a lot of stability. Like, we spoke about this, and you mentioned it's like positive uh, volatility, and I understand it's mostly
Upward.
going up. Yeah, it's
Yes,
mostly
upward
going up,
volatile.
but yeah, but dude, like, seriously, it's lost 50% since last month, like at some point in May, and I don't know. I wouldn't store my wealth. Like, imagine, like, if you have a sum of money which you don't care about, that's fine. But for what if you have an unexpected expense? What you're gonna do then? Because, okay, last month you had $60,000. Now you have 35,000, and you might need that money now. That's not super reliable. Like, and I'm obviously, so right now the whole crypto space is like, I think, like 1.5 trillion. It's like, it's less than the market cap of Apple. It's super small. People think it's big and it's mainstream, but the truth is it's super small. And people talk about BTC price manipulation and stuff like that. Dude, seriously, it's well, it's smaller than the biggest company in the world in terms of capitalization. I'm not sure if Apple is now the biggest or not, but okay, let's say I think it's top five at least, if it's not top,
Yeah.
if it's not the first one. So it's not that big for its reputation and its widespreadness, but still, it's super volatile, man. If Apple stock went 50% up and down from one month to another, people would be scared. Like, I think it moved less than 50% during the initial COVID movements. And honestly, like, if and that was supposed to be a super infectious, deadly disease that would actually hinder the whole world. Well, it didn't turn out to be that, but that's a different story. And I think it moved like 30% it still didn't move 50%. So how is it a store of wealth with the inherent property of being super stable and reliable when it moves more than a blue chip stock. That doesn't make sense for me. And then there's like, dude, seriously, another aspect, and we spoke about this, is well, it's it's spread in terms of who owns how much. And I think I showed you some. I think there was like a website who actually calculates the amount of bitcoins in wallets, and I think like 5% of wallets own like 95% of all the bitcoins. And obviously, our discussion then was, okay, what about the dollar? I showed you some. I'm just telling this for everybody. I showed you some numbers from the Federal Reserve, which said that the top, I think the top 10%, no, the top 1% has 30%. The next 10%, 9% have another 30%. Then until 50%, there's another 30%, and then the lower 50% have 10% of the whole dollar wealth, which is obviously it's super sad and tragic, and it's not good, right? But then again, it's much better than Bitcoin. Again, your point was, and I acknowledged it, it might be valid, is we don't know about who owns what in dollars. And that's fine. But I'll just say that we do know in Bitcoin, and it's super, super focused in the hands of a few individuals. I think it's like less than 10,000 accounts which have this amount. And that's scary. Like, you want to talk about whales? Those are whales. Like, they can influence price a lot. And yeah. So
Yeah, is that it? You done?
there's so many things. There's
Let me turn on the light real quick because it's getting a little dark.
Okay,
here.
cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna answer what Adam said in the chat. Yeah, I think the same. I think it's a stepping stone. It's the first mover. It's the MySpace of the crypto space, and I think it's just gonna get dethroned, outperformed. Like, I'm seeing super interesting projects having at least potentially much better grounds for their success than Bitcoin. And honestly, like, I don't have any Bitcoin. I think I never had a lot of Bitcoin, but it's just meh. It's just meh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me do my rebuttal. Haha. Basically, I think if you were to ask somebody at the beginning of the decade, what is the best investment that you can make? I think statistically you could say Bitcoin and Ethereum, right?
With the mention that depends on what you look at. Because if you look at the first time you were ever potentially able to buy it, yes. But you cannot compare buying an obscure asset on an obscure exchange in an obscure technology with having an IPO. Because if you're talking about IPOs, it's either Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, I think, in terms of stocks. So, okay, if you want to...
I guess you could say it's a very foreign compared to a company that you buy at that time, obviously. But nonetheless, an investment. Just like anything. If you wanted to broaden the definition of investment, anything that could return your money, or return or give you high rate of return, and the highest rate of return that you could have had is by Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'm just making the Bitcoin maxi case now. The reason why I think Bitcoin still has incredible upside is because, and this is something that I feel like that you miss, which is the fact that Bitcoin has like this immense cultural um, sort of story. It has an anonymous creator. It has all of these institutional investors coming in. Your first point of entry before you get into any other crypto is Bitcoin. And the story is appealing. And stories are what drives us from the beginning of time till now. You know what I mean? That's why people go into religions. That's why you need captivating stories. Um, Good tech obviously is incredible, and obviously we know that there's coins that do things better than Bitcoin. But I think due to just Bitcoin's story in part, it has this huge gravitational pull that other cryptos just do not have, you know. And Ethereum is interesting, but not because it's trying to compete with Bitcoin, but because it's different than Bitcoin. So this is why I personally believe, and the guy in the chat said this about Link. I personally believe that coins that are trying to compete with Bitcoin aren't that interesting, and in my opinion, won't get too far, to be honest. Partly because they don't have that kind of story or backing or institutional interest as Bitcoin has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And coins that are promising are ones that are not focusing on the same thing that Bitcoin is focusing on, primary like Chainlink, like Cardano, like because they're not focusing on what Bitcoin is trying to do. They're doing something or solving another unique problem. You know, we can talk about Bitcoin competitors in terms of technical advancement, like Zcash, you know, have been genuine private money, and Monero, you know, and then you have Nano, which is like a green cryptocurrency and so forth. You talk about all of these, but none of the stories are captivating for anybody. When you tell people about why they should invest in Bitcoin, that it was created by some anonymous guy and you know it was on a forum, and do you know what I mean? Like this story is captivating. If I tell somebody about Nano or about some coin that is technically superior, do they really care?
I,
Can
I
you
mean,
really say that they care? So
I mean,
it's like, go ahead.
so I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. That's cool. But for example, I think I told you, well, not let you know, but like we spoke a bit about Algorand. Dude, Algorand is like there's these guys which are a team of geniuses, of mathematical geniuses, which were like, yeah, dude, we can create an algorithm that will do randomness in such a way that nothing's going to be ever tampered with, and it's much more efficient than Bitcoin. So okay, I understand, yeah, the anonymous creator is interesting and all, and forums and okay, that's interesting, but like there's also these teams of super knowledgeable super individuals with proven track records which are challenging that. So how long is this mystery gonna work? Because mystery fades. Like, okay, it's novelty, it's gonna fade, it's eventually gonna fade. If you're buying stuff of hype, you know how that usually goes. Hype lasts for a little while, and then once the hype is gone, the hype is gone, the magic is gone.
You can say the
So
same about the US dollar.
it's,
You can
I
say
don't
the
know.
same about you can say the same about any currency really. But I think what I think is really important to note is that institutional interest is not so much for these coins. Like I don't think they'll have the because Bitcoin has already reached escape velocity. You know, like it's in space. Like in terms of in terms of when you talk cryptocurrency, you're also talking Bitcoin. And I don't think that shift is gonna come anytime soon, given that it's been around for 10 years, and all of the technical drawbacks it has, it can be improved upon, like the Lightning Network, which is a layer on top of Bitcoin that would allow you um, to handle more payments. Just for context for anybody listening, the current financial system, right? Every time you go to the store and buy something, the payment doesn't it doesn't go through immediately. What happens is that there are hundreds and thousands of payments logged, so to say, until they're processed. That's why you can look on your card and you can see that, or you can look in your bank account and you can see that all of them are pending and they only clear a few days after. So what happens is on your phone, it will show that it already paid, but in reality, this is all being processed at a later point, right?
Yeah.
And this is exactly what Bitcoin Lightning Network would do, and which would allow it to then process more payments. It would mimic the current structure of payments, which is that it will be able to log a bunch of payments and then clear them at a later date. But on your phone or whatever, it would show that it has cleared already.
Mm-hmm.
So this update has and there's a lot of criticism on this update because it's been a very long time since it was mentioned and when they're planning to update it. So there's some skepticism around that and whether it works or not. But it's already live, and I think the biggest hurdle is the user interface and designing an application that people will actually use on the Lightning Network. And just wide scale adoption. So I do think that it can work as a currency, and I do think now that there's so many eyes on it, they're more likely to execute on that. As far as I just want to cycle back to like some of the points that you were saying earlier.
Let me just ask you something, real talk. How much of your crypto portfolio is in Bitcoin?
About 20%.
Why isn't there more?
Because some of them I think have more upside, but I think 20% is quite large for just one position.
I mean, yeah, if you have 100 assets, 20% is it's a lot. But if you have like 10, it's not that much. Like,
yeah. But
the thing is, yeah.
I'd say I'd have like easily like somewhere around 30. So 20% is quite large, to be honest. But that's besides the point. 20% is substantial. The point being that I don't think other coins have the institutional backing that Bitcoin has. There's a lot of and if you listen to think about this, okay? In rural Africa, nobody's talking about any other coins. It's only Ethereum or Bitcoin. They don't have time to be researching any other coins. And in essence, they are even more volatile than Bitcoin, any other altcoins, even if they're technically superior. So, and in Venezuela, in places where shit is going down, they're only talking about these two. You understand? And the biggest use case for Bitcoin is in places like Venezuela. It's in places where the currency has been devalued to such an extent that even the volatility of Bitcoin is better than the volatility of the local currency. And I think that's another point that I speak to when I say that I'm bullish on Bitcoin, and I disagree with people saying that there's not much growth in it, because what we're seeing right now is much more totalitarian states, much more political unrest, and all of that leads me to think that the first stop for anybody that is seeking to secure their assets would be Bitcoin. People don't have the time to be researching any other new obscure coins. The easiest, you have to think that what's the easiest step that you can take? And the easiest step that you can take is a recognizable name, is something that has network effects, right? And oh, by the way, I should probably explain network effects. Network effects is the value of a network increases the more people are on it. the part of the reason why it's so hard for people to move off Facebook, for example, right, is because your friends are on there, your family is on there, right? With all of these other sort of smaller and obscure coins, nobody's using it. Oh, my life, bro. Nobody's using those coins. So for you to convince your family or something like that to switch to another coin from Bitcoin will be extremely hard because they don't know it. But the next guy has Bitcoin. The guy down the street is talking about Bitcoin. You're much more likely to convince somebody walking down the street or to talk to somebody walking down the street about Bitcoin than you are about Chainlink, you know? So I think we're stuck. We ourselves, right? Because we're so involved in the space, we're stuck in local maxima, meaning we can only see what we're engaging with ourselves. But the broader picture is people are only talking about Bitcoin. That's it.
Let me just give you an anecdote regarding this. What you said is perfectly true. It's the most famous one. It probably has the biggest following. Most people have heard of it. It has network effects. Super awesome. Let me just tell you a personal example. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine, he asked me how he can buy something with some crypto. Yeah, we'll talk about this some other time. And he was like, I want to buy some Bitcoin. My first question, and obviously, yes, I might know more than the average person. Let's just keep it at that. My question was, why would you buy Bitcoin? Like, seriously, do you need Bitcoin specifically? I can give you like 10 coins off the top of my head, which are better for transactions. Dude, first one, XRP. If you can do it in XRP, do it in XRP. He tried it. He could do it in XRP. It cost him like $0.003 to transfer whatever amount of XRP. And I was like, yeah, awesome. Good for you, man. That's it. Why would you ever need Bitcoin?
Yeah. I agree that if you're trying to transact, it's not the best coin currently.
Sorry, let me just add. Sorry, yeah. My point was, dude, all you have to do is ask a friend that you know is more knowledgeable, and he'll give you the alternative. Because this is not like with stocks. You know, with stocks, it's a bit shady. This is not investment advice. I'm not telling you to buy XRP and hold it until you grow old. I'm telling you, buy it now, use it, and then it disappears. Like, I'm not saying about holding XRP. I'm talking about using XRP. If you want to hold it. But you know, you can seriously. It's much easier than stocks or other assets or even other currencies. It's seriously. Oh, not to mention the fact that it's in the same application. Like, okay, with money, with currencies until Revolut and some other smart banks, it was hard to hold multiple assets. You had to have different bank accounts in different currencies. With crypto, you can have everything in one wallet. You want to buy Bitcoin, you ask your friend, he tells you the better crypto, you buy XRP, you do a transaction, win-win. It's so much more fluid than like traditional currencies.
Okay, okay. Then let me explain this to you in terms of institutional backing and why I say Bitcoin has in some regards even more growth capability than some of these new coins. Even though your first or your second instinct would tell you that Bitcoin has been around for a while, therefore it doesn't have that much growth there. Okay, if say they were going to use a coin, if the government was going to use a coin, right? What would be the first coin they would think of? It'd be Bitcoin. If any, think about El Salvador, for example. That is the perfect example. It's not an obscure coin that they're going to choose. It's going to be Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin gets chosen, they will try and make it so that you can transact with it. I think now that El Salvador is, for example, using Bitcoin, they're going to press for Lightning Network to be instated as soon as possible. They're not going to look for no coin or something like that to try and solve that, some smaller obscure coin. No, Bitcoin is already worth 1 trillion. Why should we look anywhere else? Let's just fix that.
What if Cardano is adopted in Ethiopia and it's much better than Bitcoin? What's the next country gonna choose?
there will be fragmentation. Don't get me wrong. Like the same way that there's a U.S. dollar, but in my a U.S. dollar and a Japan is a yen. Yen, yeah. Um, the same way I think Bitcoin will coexist with these other coins. So you're right in saying that Cardano can be adapted in Ethiopia, but Bitcoin will be the U.S. dollar of these coins, and I don't think it's going to knock uh, any of these coins are going to knock it off its horse anytime soon. And primarily because of network effects, I don't think any other coin has this level of network effects, and it doesn't have a captivating story. It's not something you necessarily would share easily. You're gonna have all of the people that are extremely interested in the tech and that are always trying to maximize their returns, looking for better coins. So those people will exist, but I will have to remind you about people that are not looking to maximize their returns beyond holding one crypto, and that one crypto will be Bitcoin, in my opinion. And like I said, you see that in Nigeria, you see that in Venezuela. They're not looking to find any other coin. Come on, man. You think in Venezuela they're looking to? In Venezuela, they're putting it in Bitcoin, and that's it. You know, um, yeah, and also the problem with fragmentation in the crypto space is that when you want to have big companies, right, and seamlessly work with each other, right, you do have to pick one coin that you'll primarily work with. And in my opinion, that is Bitcoin. So I can see sort of Square, for example, adopting Bitcoin usage, and then Tesla adopting Bitcoin usage and accepting Bitcoin. And that will always be and in my opinion, that is why Tesla chose Bitcoin. And it's hard to deny. Think about this, okay? Um, Tesla chooses Bitcoin. El Salvador makes Bitcoin legal tender. Actually, let me stop there. Tesla chooses Bitcoin. MicroStrategy buys billions of Bitcoin. El Salvador accepts Bitcoin as legal tender. A bunch of South American countries get the red eye and the red laser eyes, right? Everybody starts getting the red laser eyes. So my point being, this is the first point of contact, and there is actually no discussion of other coins. And this is what I'm trying to get to you, and I'm not sure how to explain this because I feel like it's cultural and not so much technical. Because if it was purely technical, then they would choose the best coin. It's just like you said. But it's almost like saying, hey, there's a company that makes better phones than Apple. Therefore, Apple is gonna die. But Apple's not dying anytime soon. You know what I mean? Apple's not going nowhere.
I will give you this. I did expect Apple to, if not die, at least tone down a while ago, and they didn't. So you might be right here. But, dude, sorry. So let me just ask this: what does MicroStrategy do again?
Hold on, what? That guy gave a comment that said Tesla makes new gigafactory based in. Is that a lie?
I think he's trolling. Yeah,
he's trolling.
Or
okay. I'm like, what
is he? Yeah, maybe Elon can. Maybe Elon can do some volcano-powered cars next. Yeah,
that would be insane, right? Hold on, let me show you the laser eyes, man, that I'm talking about. Laser eyes.
Come on, don't show me the laser eyes.
Hold on, man. I'm showing you the laser eyes. Hold on, man. I'm talking about the laser eyes in South America. They're all doing laser eyes. All of the politicians there. Hold on.
Wow.
I need to show this to the people. Basically, laser eyes are an indication that you've seen the truth. that what it is? I actually never asked myself why it's like that.
I don't know. I don't know. I just stay away from people with laser eyes on Twitter. That's all I know.
Well, then you have to stay away from all of the South American politicians.
Yeah, I don't think I'm following any of them anyways. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
Man, I put in South American laser eyes, and I'm getting these shitty results, man.
I don't think it's like a thing, you know. I think you might have seen some like, but I don't think it's a thing.
No, no, no. I'm talking about legit politicians with like a blue tick and everything, like
No,
senators.
I believe you, but I don't think there's like a cultural trend named
Oh, okay,
Latin
okay.
America laser eyes.
Yeah, I won't find it. I saw it on Twitter somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Point being, I like this guy.
Yeah, he's trolly. I like him too.
So yeah. So my point being, your first point of contact um, is most likely going to be Bitcoin, and that's for reasons that I have a hard time explaining. But I think it's a lot of intangible stuff, like the story, a lot of things that are not even relating to the tech. And I think those are sometimes the hardest things to discuss for technical people, because in their mind it's like the most technical advanced solution will win, but oftentimes that's not the case. I mean, how do you think we got to our current financial system? Have you seen the back have you seen the back end of our current financial system? How
Yeah.
fragmented, how long, how many things are sort of bureaucratic, and even pen and paper still, and faxing machines. What the fuck is a faxing machine? What? Can you believe people are still using faxing machines? Jesus Christ, man.
No,
So yeah, the most technical, the advanced solution doesn't always win. So yeah, that's that.
yeah. The thing is with what you just said regarding technological innovation. The thing is with another problem I have with Bitcoin is the fact that it's I'm not. I won't say the community isn't alive. It is alive, and it's probably doing a lot of stuff. But the thing is, the community doesn't have leaders and like. No, again, it has leaders. I'm talking about not ideological, but like visionary technological leaders. For example, how Vitalik is and how Hoskins is. I initially, like with the whole decentralization thing of crypto, you I wouldn't blame you if you believe it's better for there not to be a leader. But I
Right.
think they don't have a fixed, strict direction. And I think that might be one of its weak points. For example, we both like
And the
Elon Musk.
strength.
Most people like Elon Musk. One of the reasons Tesla is successful is because Elon Musk, he's obviously not doing the whole work himself, but he has a vision. He has ways to solve the problems they're having. Like having a visionary leader is super important, and Bitcoin lacks that.
I think it's super important, but it's also it's a weakness and a strength at the same time, because it's a weakness in that it doesn't show a sort of a clear path forward, like what you said. You know, it doesn't have um, a clear vision if there's no one leader. But I think the whole point of Bitcoin is this non-custodial attitude, meaning that there's no one particular person that can define it. That it's defined by everybody using it. And so everybody's the leader in Bitcoin. And that's why and that goes to the strength of Bitcoin. That's why it's so the strength is also the weakness. And if everybody's the leader, it'll be hard to have a clear vision, so to say. But it will always be sort of the vision of the combined people, so to say. And I think only time will tell whether or not this is successful or not. I think the reliance on leaders also means, what if Elon goes, and then what do you do? Shouldn't the mission be, or the goal be clear regardless of the leader? Why is there a reliance on the leader? In not to make this like esoteric or anything, but I read this book um, called Dune by Frank Herbert, which is one of my favorite science fiction books, and it has this hero in there, and um, I think in the book it keeps describing the fact that a hero is the natural urge of the people, right? But the reliance on the hero leads um, leads his followers astray, because the followers are blinded um, by the hero, and they don't do anything themselves, but they rely on everything to be done by the hero. So the moral of the story is that in all of these situations, um, when the hero then is gone or corrupted, the whole movement falls apart. So in that token, I would say, no pun intended, I would say not having a leader is a huge strength of Bitcoin, but also a huge weakness, because you don't have a defined leader or hero. But it's also good because you might not need a hero, you might not need a defined leader, and uh, I think, yeah, that's a strength and a weakness. But that's a topic we could be on for hours.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you want to talk about inflation before wrapping up?
yes. Um, do you want to start? Because I think you have more to say on it than I do.
Yeah, yeah. I We just had some inflation readings today. Uh, Basically, what has happened is they came higher than expected, not by a lot, but just slightly higher. Let me just get the exact numbers. Okay, so they were approximating it to be 4.7 percent, and it was 5%, and this is on a year-over-year basis. And then on a month-over-month basis, they were expecting 0.4, and it was 0.6. So inflation is up. Uh, Honestly, I was expecting much bigger numbers.
Same.
So I'm not sure exactly what is at play here. I was reading some articles regarding employment, and they said that the metrics that are happening in employment are rather divergent. Usually they are convergent in certain directions. Like, for example, if you have high unemployment, you'll have rising wages and rising open jobs, nobody getting hired. But right now you have a mixture of stuff. So the
Hmm.
inflation reading actually was quite interesting. It's quite surprising.
Hmm.
The
So just
acceleration is, yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
the
Acceleration.
acceleration, it's still growing,
Yeah.
but it has slowed substantially. And I was just reading some articles about it, and some people say that it might actually subside in the next it might go up even a bit next month, but after that it might actually either either start going down or flattening, and then going down. So for some reason, and I think we'll find more information in the upcoming days, it's it's not hyperinflation. Like, we're not gonna get 20% inflation. Uh, it's super interesting. I haven't checked. I was listening on some news about this regarding the certain bits and pieces, because there's like a CPI index, and it has like a lot of stuff inside. And yeah, basically it's the average cost of whatever a human consumes on a daily basis, let's say. And it
Hmm.
has like transportation and food, and I don't think it has rent, but that's a different story. But yeah, it's interesting. Like,
Hmm.
it's not going to the moon apparently, and we thought it would go to the moon, but it's not. So we might have. So we might have another month of rising inflation, and then we might have another growth bull run, which I'm super
Yeah.
happy about.
So just some context for the listeners. The idea is that at times when you print, well, we know from history that at times when you print a lot of money, that inflation goes up. Um, Inflation being that goods and services might become more expensive, money will be worth less due to it just being more widely available. You have this comparison of um, you have four bananas, you really cherish and care for them, and then you suddenly have 20 bananas. So now four bananas is not that rare anymore. You have a lot of bananas. I know this is a shitty comparison, but I hope it does the trick. And
Yeah.
the idea is that the U.S. Economy, or particularly the Federal Reserve, has printed about was it 20 to 25% of all of the dollars
I
in existence
I think it
last
was
year.
up to 40 or
Up
something
to
ridiculous
40.
like that.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
With
Okay.
everything done. Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that all of the dollars that are have ever existed, um, 20 to 40% of those were printed in 2020, so last year. And in in previous cases in history, every time you printed money in excess like this, there would be inflation, particularly hyperinflation. You look at Weimar Germany, um, and that's where it happened. And you buy a piece of bread for like stacks of cash, like that might be millions. Um, and there was a fear that this would happen, but it didn't happen. And primarily because we're in a pandemic. This is not normal circumstances. So to assume that inflation goes up because we're sort of because of fiscal spending in a pandemic doesn't make that much sense. Therefore, I agree with what you were saying that it might be transitionary, and I don't think it's going to go up that much because everybody's spending. It's a global pandemic, so why wouldn't you be spending more money? And desperate times call for desperate measures, and the desperate measure that the Federal Reserve took is to print a large part of money. I don't think they should do any more because it defeats the purpose at one point. Um, and oftentimes, a lot of the stimulus spending doesn't go to the people. It goes to various random things that never sort of reach the people. But I think the current spending is enough, and I don't think they need much more. And inflation is transitionary, I think, because there's many deflationary. So you have inflation, you have deflation. Deflation is things that make inflation go down, and I think there's a lot of deflationary um, things at stake right now. You have advancement of technology. Since the pandemic, think about how many of us think about what we're doing right now. Before the pandemic, this wasn't as common to be able to do like video conferencing on Zoom, to be working entirely from home, and the world economy still worked like that. So that's a deflationary move. The advancement of technology, new technology that allows us to do this kind of thing. Um, you had crypto, which some would consider deflationary, because, for example, Bitcoin, there's only 21 million of it, um, and it doesn't change its monetary policy like the Federal Reserve does, so it's fixed. So crypto's rising is a deflationary force, in my opinion. You might disagree. Um, the other thing is also the printing of money itself is not the only indicator for inflation. It's also the velocity of money. So if people stop spending money, right, as well as there being a lot of money printed, then you have a much surer sign of inflation. But people are still spending money. People are coming out of the economy and just like splurging left and right. You know what I mean? Like trying to get new clothes, trying to look good, trying to go on holiday. And there's a lot of inbound travel happening. So a lot of these things make me think that all of this is transitionary. So inflation, you know, in this modern age, I don't think we'll necessarily see hyperinflation, but I could be wrong. And inflation might go up to 15%, like in Nigeria or something like that.
Yeah.
But as for now, I don't see that being a thing that will happen. But in case, for anybody listening, in case you're trying to hedge and protect some of your assets from inflation, I would recommend looking into crypto as a new asset class. And but by the way, this is not financial advice. I have to say this also.
Yeah.
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 Shall we wrap it up? How long
Yeah.
have we
Yeah.
talked?
Let's. It's like 1 hour and a half or more. Yeah, 1 hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, time flies.
There's already four viewers.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Say hi. Is it on Twitch
Yeah. Hi.
or-
No. It's YouTube.
Okay.
And there's somebody on Twitch. I'm not sure who's on Twitch, but there is somebody on Twitch. Yeah.
What should we say are the closing remarks? Should we look at some memes?
Do you want to share some memes before we go?
I don't know. What's your favorite meme this week?
There was this meme. It's super popular now. I'm not sure. I forgot which one it is. There was this meme and everybody was saying it that it's already too much. But yeah, let me know when you wanna. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying not to focus too much on memes, but yeah.
Hold on, I got a good meme. I'll show you.
So
Let me show you. Can you even see it?
yeah, it's on now.
Can you see the whole thing?
Yeah, but you have to. Yeah.
Can you read it?
Yeah.
You can't even see it properly.
Yeah, it's not the whole thing.
That's the smallest it goes. It goes. Wait, so I need to download Coinbase or Gemini to buy Bitcoin. Then I need to get a crypto wallet. There it goes. And transfer it there, and then to my address so I can swap currencies, and then I can finally buy poo token.
Yeah.
Basically, have you ever tried to buy a shitcoin?
Actually, I did. It actually, well, I mean, depends on the level of shitness, but I was buying some things which were somewhat obscure in 2017, and I was going to liquid something, and then even KuCoin, it was big-ish, but I think it's obviously bigger now. But yeah, I actually went on some smaller exchanges to buy a specific token. Yeah, this is one of the hard things about crypto assets is like I get interested in some project and then I can see it's only available on some super small obscure exchange, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna make like my 10th crypto account just for this one coin. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard to actually buy obscure tokens. To be honest, you have to switch to so many different things. I think closing, right? We can talk about one thing. Let's talk about Mayweather. and the Logan fight. Okay. By the way, Mayweather. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but Mayweather went to the Bitcoin conference, and one of the rules at the Bitcoin conference is not to talk about any other coins. And Mayweather rocked up to the Bitcoin conference in an Ethereum shirt.
Nice.
And then he started talking about like obscure coins. And he was getting booed actually when he said that, oh, I think there's a coin that might be bigger than Bitcoin. And then he got booed. And he replied saying, hey, it's the same as Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And he thought it was a mic drop moment, and then they booed him some more. I just felt bad for the guy. But point being, Mayweather's a really good businessman. I heard just from his trunks alone, he made 30 million in the fight. I think in total he made 80 million, and Logan Paul made 20. And this is all a mix of things from his trunks where they had QR codes on the trunks, and PPV, so how many eyes are on them, pay-per-view, yeah. And I think that's about it, right? So
yeah,
this huge cash grab.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, yeah, like Adam said, yeah, the fight was bad, man. Like honestly, like it's honestly, I'm much more impressed by Logan Paul than Mayweather, because like he tried at least. Okay, he might have hugged him too much, but he tried. Mayweather didn't even seem to try, and he's like a world-class athlete. He's a world-class boxer. He's one of the best to ever do it, and he doesn't even try. Like, I don't know. It just, honestly, it felt disrespectful to boxing fans. You want to go for a show? I assume Logan Paul fans were fine, and they had what they were going for. That's fine. But Mayweather fans, they must have been disappointed. Like, this guy who used to be a calculated killer, super defensive master, got beaten by a guy who started practicing boxing 2 years ago. Well, got beaten, whatever. No, not defeated the guy properly who started doing boxing years ago. That was bad. And
did you say he was about to get defeated? Is that what you said?
No. He did. I said he didn't defeat him properly.
Oh, you
in
didn't
that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I have this little bit of a conspiracy about it, because I do feel like at one point it looked like Logan was knocked out and Mayweather was holding him up, to be honest. It looked like that. And
yeah, I've seen that.
And I mean, but besides, I think we can agree on the fact that we thought it was a really bad fight. But I think the important thing to notice is that a lot of the biggest UFC fighters have never gotten 20 million a fight, right? So they're asking themselves, like, how is this possible? And what's sad about the whole situation is the fact that, sadly, it's not the best fighters that get the most money, so to say. This is about viewership. And Logan Paul has had a YouTube career, right? And has hundreds of millions of watchers. And what makes the money is unfortunately not the best fighters, which is sad for the UFC people and some of the boxing people. What makes the money is the viewers. And unfortunately, Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather got the most viewers to tune in, because these days what we want to see is a freak show. Because this is what it is, because you watch the thing and you couldn't actually believe what you were watching, because it was like a giant versus a midget. If you really think about it, it looks so strange, really. And I think give the people what they want to see. So it was interesting to see it, but it ended up being a poor fight. And I think it is sad for the sport of boxing, but I think people don't care about that. People just wanted to see a freak show, really. And it was a bit odd to see that, because it was interesting, because it was like Logan Paul is so like enormous, and for Mayweather to be closing in on him, like somebody, you know what I mean, like going in like this and stuff, it was a bit absurd to see. So I guess that part of the fight was interesting to me, and just interesting what you know the culture's interested in watching. I think that's also something that makes me curious. So I wonder what's going to happen next. There's going to be more exhibition fights. You have YouTubers versus TikTokers. Has it already happened, or is this coming out soon or something? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but like I think Logan Paul fought that KSI dude, and basically they're both YouTubers, so that has already happened. And dude,
Yeah.
the whole thing with popular people just fighting for money, like for the viewership, it's nothing new.
You
It's
don't like it?
no, honestly, I don't mind it in the sense like the way he did it with Logan Paul and KSI. That's fine. How Askren did it with his brother, that's also somewhat fine. The guy is a retired fighter, it's fine. Well, not arguably, Mayweather said he's also retired. But I don't know, man. Like Askren was never the best boxer, but like I don't know. It honestly, it was disgraceful for Mayweather. And you talked about like people who are good entertainers, like Conor McGregor. Like okay, he's obviously on the negative right now, but when he was at top of his game with his like showmanship, dude, he was fighting people and winning, and he was doing it in an amazing fashion. That's super awesome. I can live with that. I honestly, I'm not much for the disrespect and the showmanship. I appreciate it because I know because for most of them it's a tactic. I respect that, but at least go in there and like I don't know, do something. Just
Right,
coming
right.
there and not even trying hard enough. Like again, dude, people are supposedly have spent their hard-earned money to see you fight. Like either fight properly or don't. I'm super curious if Mayweather ever does an exhibition match again, what the numbers will be. Because I assume they're going to be much smaller than they were now.
It's hard. It's hard to go higher up from here, because this was the oddest thing that you were able to see. All of the next fights, they're interesting. I mean, Jake Paul is fighting against this UFC ex UFC champion. Will be interesting. Um, and then you have the YouTube versus TikTok stuff, but I'm not interested in any of that. I'm not gonna watch any of it. I might watch the Jake Paul thing. But the other thing that's interesting too is that the space that Logan Paul and Jake occupy in the public's minds now, because Jake, I think he hacked something that Conor McGregor hacked, that Mayweather hacked, which is that people want to see you lose,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they want to see you. It's almost like they want to see you lose more than they want to see the fight, so to say. So you have somebody that's just disrespectful as Jake Paul. You have somebody that's as disrespectful as uh, as Conor McGregor, and you watch and you wonder, is this cocky guy gonna lose? And you really wonder. And I think this is what's happening with Jake, because I find this in myself as well. I want to watch the fight to see Jake lose, because he's been so disrespectful, and I can't even. I don't know. I can't imagine it going on without this guy getting knocked out cold by somebody.
I I don't even have that. Like seriously, I think one of the things I told you after the fight was I have massive respect for him now. Like he tried and he worked his ass off and he
Hold on,
actually
I'm talking about Jake. I'm talking about Jake Paul.
okay. Well,
But I guess
even
it's the
that
same
guy.
with Logan. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
even
the same.
even that guy. Like Jake is obviously a bit more yeah, uh idiotic, but
Yeah,
then again, he himself also trained, which is good for him. And I appreciate that. And actually, the fight with Ben Askren was much cleaner and much more obvious who won and why that person won. Ben Askren was just worse than Jake, and that's it. That's
yeah.
fine. But with Logan Paul, I would have been interested in seeing him win, and he didn't perform badly, so I didn't tune in to see him win or lose. I just you know but I'm definitely I don't think I watched the Mayweather versus Conor one, but I watched this one. But I don't think I'm gonna watch ever a Mayweather fight again, another showcase, because I already thought his style was super boring. So why would I do it anymore? I know he's not even gonna try. So
what do you mean? His style is super boring. The one where he sort of ducks all of the punches, waits till
yeah.
out,
His defensive style isn't the most entertaining thing to watch. I'm sure it's super athletic and smart, and strategically wise, it's awesome. I'm not entertained by it.
So, are you entertained by Ali? Watching his fights and stuff?
Yeah, but also Tyson Fury. I love Tyson Fury. Like, his style is so amazing.
Very, very unorthodox.
Very unorthodox. And he's he's this big, massive guy. He's moving like he's so much lighter. He's doing all this stuff, and he's super awesome, man. I love his fighting style.
And he comes to the fight and he looks like he just woke up. You know what I mean? Like,
hey,
they told me I should come here, so I'm here. And I'll just beat the best boxers. Yeah, we'll see, man. There's Anthony Joshua still in the works. There's some kind of back and forth about it that I don't understand.
No, it's done. He's not fighting Joshua anymore.
He's not.
He's gonna fight Wilder again because they contested it in court, and Wilder won. And now they're gonna fight, I think, in July. Again.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Anthony Joshua fight. So hold on, who did Tyson Fury win against again? Was it Anthony Joshua?
No, Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder, okay. And Anthony Joshua lost to this Mexican guy, right?
Yeah, Andy Ruiz. Yeah.
That was so shocking, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the guy can also box pretty good.
Yeah. He can box. He's not one to be joked with. Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
guess we can wrap it up.
We can wrap it up, and this was a bit of a sport tangent, but
yes,
it does have it is connected to making money, at least the beginning of it. So
that's what we got the idea for the name of the podcast.
True.
There you go. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thanks for everybody who tuned in.
We shall be back. Mr. Logan,
we will be back.
Love this guy. And your sister.
Yeah.
She's
yeah, I told you. She's helping me with everything. She's always there for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
dude.
Have a good one, guys. See you later.
Have a good evening, guys. See you.